New York City, a metropolis of steel, glass and concrete, bustling with millions of human lives. But if you look a little closer, beyond the towering skyscrapers and roaring traffic, you'll find another world. It's a world teeming with wildlife, not just surviving, but actually changing in this most unnatural of habitats. The city itself has become this vast, unintended laboratory for evolution, a place where the pressures of urban life are right now forging new creatures in real time. Scientists are discovering that the very structures we build, the roads, the buildings, the parks, are acting as powerful forces, shaping the genetic destiny of the animals that call this city home. It's honestly a remarkable story of adaptation, happening right under our noses. This process, called urban evolution, is just a fascinating spectacle. It really shows us how quickly life can respond to new challenges. For the animals here, the city isn't just a backdrop. It's an environment that selects for certain traits. Survival might depend on the ability to digest new foods, to navigate a maze of streets, or to tolerate levels of pollution that would be lethal elsewhere. Every patch of green, every isolated park becomes its own island. And on these islands, separated by rivers of asphalt and canyons of steel, evolution is charting a unique course for each population. We're witnessing the first chapters of a new natural history being written. Studying these urban dwellers offers a unique window into one of nature's most fundamental processes. In the wild, evolutionary changes can take thousands, even millions of years to become apparent. But here in the compressed, high-pressure environment of the city, the pace is accelerated. We can actually observe significant genetic shifts happening over just a few generations. By examining the DNA of these city creatures, we can pinpoint the exact changes that help them thrive. And this is not just a story about pigeons and rats. It involves a surprising diversity of species, from tiny salamanders hidden in damp ravines to clever coyotes prowling the city's edges. The key to this research lies in understanding how populations become separated from one another. In a vast, continuous forest, animals can roam and interbreed freely, keeping their gene pool well mixed. But in a city, a single highway or a dense block of buildings can become an impassable barrier. This isolation is really the engine of evolutionary change. It prevents the flow of genes between groups, allowing each one to adapt independently to its specific local conditions. What we're seeing in New York City is a live demonstration of how new species might begin to form, driven not by ancient glaciers or rising seas, but by the urban landscape we've created. Deep within the few remaining wild corners of New York City, in the damp, shaded springs of North Manhattan and Staten Island, lives a shy and secretive creature, the northern dusky salamander. These small amphibians are relics of a time before the city, when forests covered the land. They need clean, cool water to survive, and their populations have become fragmented, confined to the few places that still offer this precious resource. Their story provides a powerful and pretty precise example of how even a single piece of human infrastructure can dramatically alter the evolutionary path of a species, splitting a once unified population in two. In a particular hillside in North Manhattan, researchers discovered a fascinating natural experiment. The salamanders living there were once part of a single, continuous community. However, the construction of a bridge, connecting the Bronx to Manhattan, sliced right through their habitat. This bridge, a simple structure to us, became an insurmountable wall for these little amphibians. They could no longer cross from one side to the other to find mates. Over time, this physical separation has led to a genetic one. The salamanders on the north side of the bridge are now genetically distinct from their neighbors on the south side. The genetic divergence is so clear that scientists can now take a DNA sample from any salamander in this area and tell you with remarkable accuracy which side of the bridge it came from. This is evolution in action, captured in a microcosm. The bridge has effectively created two separate evolutionary histories. Each group is now on its own trajectory, adapting to the subtle differences in their isolated environments. What might seem like a minor local quirk is, in fact, a pretty profound illustration of how human activity can rewrite the biological blueprint of the animals living alongside us. This tale of the two salamander populations is more than just a scientific curiosity. It serves as a stark reminder of the hidden impacts of urban development. While we focus on the visible consequences of our construction like traffic flow and housing, we often overlook the invisible barriers we create for wildlife. For a small creature like a salamander, a road is as vast and impassable as an ocean. Their story highlights the vulnerability of specialized species in an urban world, and demonstrates just how precisely we can measure the evolutionary consequences of our ever-expanding footprint on the natural world. Throughout the green oases of New York City, from Central Park to Inwood Hill, lives a small native mammal, the white-footed mouse. This creature isn't to be confused with the common house mouse that shares our homes. It's a true native of the region's forests. Before the city's rise, these mice roamed across a continuous landscape, sharing a common pool of genes. Today, though, they're marooned. Each park has become a biological island, surrounded by a hostile sea of concrete and traffic. This isolation has turned the city's parks into a collection of distinct evolutionary laboratories. Researchers studying these mice have made a startling discovery. The populations in different parks have become so genetically different from one another that a mouse's DNA can be used to identify its home park. A mouse from Central Park has a different genetic signature than one from Flushing Meadows Park in Queens. This phenomenon, known as genetic drift, happens when small, isolated populations evolve in different directions by chance. But it's more than just chance at play here. It's also a powerful story of adaptation, as each mouse population fine-tunes its biology to the unique challenges of its specific park. To understand these changes, scientists compare the genomes of thousands of urban mice with their rural cousins. The results are honestly striking. They've identified specific genes that have changed significantly in the city mice. These key genetic shifts are directly related to survival in an urban environment. One of the most important areas of change is in the immune system. City mice live in much denser populations where diseases can spread rapidly. As a result, genes that help them fight off pathogens have become incredibly important, and those mice with stronger immune responses are more likely to survive and reproduce. Another critical adaptation is linked to metabolism and diet. The food available in a city park is very different from that in a natural forest. Urban mice might feast on discarded human food, which is often high in fat and sugar. Genes related to processing these new energy sources have been altered, allowing the mice to thrive on a diet their rural ancestors never knew. Furthermore, scientists have found changes in genes that confer tolerance to heavy metals. City soil is often contaminated with pollutants like lead and chromium from decades of industrial activity and traffic, and the mice have evolved to cope with this toxic legacy. While salamanders and mice offer a glimpse into evolution's past and present, a newer arrival is showing us its future. The coyote, a famously intelligent and adaptable carnivore, has begun to colonize New York City. These animals are masters of navigating complex environments, and their spread into the 5 boroughs is a testament to their resilience. Researchers are using tools like camera traps and GPS collars to track their movements, trying to understand how they are not just surviving but potentially thriving in the most densely populated urban area in the country. The coyote is a living test case for how a larger predator adapts to a life among humans. This ongoing research into the city's wildlife all comes back to a central concept in evolution: fitness. In biology, fitness isn't about being the strongest or fastest, but about how well an organism is suited to its environment, which is measured by its ability to survive and have more offspring. A small change in DNA, a single mutation, can sometimes alter a trait in a way that gives an individual a slight edge. In the harsh reality of urban life, that tiny advantage, be it a better immune system, a tolerance for toxins, or a knack for finding food, can mean the difference between life and death. That helpful trait is then passed on, spreading rapidly through the population. The stories of New York's dusky salamanders, white-footed mice, and coyotes are more than just isolated tales. They are vital lessons. By watching these animals, we learn fundamental truths about how nature works. The city, in all its complexity, acts as a powerful evolutionary force, accelerating change and providing clear, measurable examples of adaptation. Studying urban wildlife allows us to see processes that would normally be invisible over human timescales. It shows us that evolution is not a dusty concept from a textbook, but a dynamic and ongoing force that is shaping life all around us every single day. Ultimately, observing these urban survivors gives us a deeper appreciation for the tenacity of life. It demonstrates that nature is not something separate from us, confined to distant wilderness preserves. It is here in our cities, constantly responding and adapting to the world we have built. The concrete jungle is not devoid of nature, it is simply a new kind of habitat, one that demands new kinds of survival skills. As our world becomes increasingly urbanized, understanding how wildlife copes with these environments will be essential for preserving biodiversity and for understanding our own place within the intricate and ever-changing web of life.